this class is really unique, and I do sing its praise a lot of the ability to have us learning all of this stuff together and being able to talk about it in different ways is very unique. I recognize there was a problem with my dad probably longer than summer was the biggest pronounced change of noticing some of his behaviors. And I think when we thought about him aging, we were like, oh, he's just gonna, I don't think you think about your parents aging in a real way where you're like, they're just gonna be daughtery and they'll be like that, the 80-year-olds that are driving themselves around and we'll have to help them with certain things. But I think when you start to see roles shifting where you will have to be the caregiver and your family member will have to rely on you in a more impactful way than they had to, I think that naturally screamed to me, I need help, especially since the idea of safety came up. Is he going to be okay? When we heard the diagnosis, the first inclination was to just cry. The diagnosis just cemented that my magical thinking wouldn't come true of he'll get better, it's just a med, or it's vitamin D or vitamin B12. There's that magical thinking of we can fix this. Where it became really real was when he couldn't draw like a clock on the mini mental exam. This is a man who has held up our family, saved so many lives, impacted so much, and it's just not fair that his brain is doing this. I want him to be able to preserve his integrity and his perception in the world as the man that he was, because it was so important to him. And I was like, this is too big for me and I need help. Because if it wasn't the course, it would have been me like nurse navigating it, because that is my tendency of this is what we're doing. And I do still do that in the family of this is where we need to go. But I think the course gives power to that, where I'm like, it's not just me saying this, Dr. Sinclair says this too. And I think for me, I have very like general knowledge of a lot, but like really diving into it and getting to see some of the anticipated behaviors for certain diagnoses. I think that the role playing, like I'm such like a kinesthetic learner that it just really helps me to see other people play it out. Vulnerability is hard. This is one of the scariest things that a human person has to do, of dealing with the mortality of your loved one, but there's a different pain to dealing with the mortality of their being, but not their body, and how lonesome that feels. So in order to feel the loneliness and pain alleviated, you have to share a little bit to be able to feel the community and feel the support. This is such an isolating experience because you are like the history keeper of your loved one, where you remember the fierceness and the force that they were, and you are slowly watching them go. So finding other people that can really relate to that journey is so important. And it's so awe-inspiring to hear their stories of how they're holding space for the memory of their loved one. How to make these the best days, if these are the best days we have, is so much more in my focus, rather than we have to get their will updated and clean out their garage, blah, 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 which all still needs to happen. But their autonomy and integrity is so much more important than the fact that they feel big beams of love. Yeah, firstly, my very best friend in the whole wide world, her dad also has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It's so great to rely on an expert for where to go, what to do, and how to support your loved one, because I think the medical system is designed that you're supposed to rely on your doctor, and we're not given the tools to advocate for ourselves. We are just set on this plan, and we're relying on a very slow system to help us get this diagnosis. Having the first couple of modules that explain where evidence says we need to go. It takes us off the Google and off the crazy deep dives, and it puts us able to really get the information for our loved one. And then B, how to take care of them when we haven't traditionally been that person to take care of them. It's so scary, and to have an expert helping us and other families saying, yeah, this was a hard step for me too, and this is how we did it, helps you to be able to do some really hard things. It can be an intense undertaking, but I think investing in how to make this time extraordinary, I don't think I'll ever regret that, of moving the focus from this is what I need to do to physiologically or just physically take care of my loved one, and moving it to this is how I can emotionally nourish my loved one while they remember it. Every moment is precious that we're having with them. And I think having a course and having the information so you don't have to do all the legwork, so that you can be spoon fed in a time where you're going to be doing a lot of hard things in the future, helps with the emotional weight so that you can get more on a page to be able to do this. I just think you can do hard things easier as a group.